Thank you for joining us today. My name is Greg Caravello, and today's webinar, What Can Facility Grid Do for You? We're going to go through a typical facility grid project, and we're going to explain a number of features and functions that are important to commissioning agents and commissioning professionals. We're going to tell you a little bit about us, and we're going to go through some ROI samples with how we serve all the stakeholders. We're going to show self-serve our project transparency and project status. We're going to show you how to improve your efficiency, how to streamline deliverables to owners and others involved in the commissioning project, and how to engage the entire commissioning team. After that, we're going to go through a live demo. Alex Kozinets will be presenting a live demo of our tool, and then we'll have a little time at the end for questions. So if we can go to the next slide, please. We're a comprehensive cloud-based platform, and we were built from the ground up by commissioning providers for the commissioning industry. So this is not a tool that was developed for any other function in the construction industry. This was for the commissioning provider, and you'll see that once we go through it. You'll see how it's focused on the building owner, the commissioning provider, and the contractor. We're a Boston-based company. We're privately held, and we've been around since 2012. Here's a number of our customers, our client base, folks that use our tool today. Something important about our customer base: they help us develop and continue to bring new features and functionalities to our system. Now, the ROI that we're going to show you today, we're going to show you how Facility Grid can significantly reduce overhead in your tool, how to create a project status reports, getting that information out to all of the stakeholders. Because you can do that, you can significantly improve the work quality of your projects. You eliminate errors. Everything is in one central location, and you can increase the time that you as a commissioning provider spend on high value testing. So these are all features and functions that will show you how you can improve and also be able to streamline and get information out to all the other stakeholders. Standardized commissioning project process, which is something very important because now everybody knows that you're the hub of the commissioning project and that you are going to be the entity that sends the status updates. You're going to be sending the information on any of the issues that are reported, etc., and you're proactively managing the project. So you'll see that being the hub of the project, you'll always be able to report to any stakeholder in the process where the status of the project is. And you'll be able to provide the building owner with the benefit of information in a standardized digital format. And that's important because today everybody's looking to have instant reporting, instant status, and it's almost to the point of having an unaudited final report at any point in the project. Okay, now we're going to get started on the demo itself. I'd like to introduce Alex Kozinets. Alex is our Chief Product Officer and heads up our product strategy and customer success, as well as directing all educational programming and webinar activities. Now we're going to go through a demo of the project, and a number of you I contacted yesterday and the day before who are attending today, asking if you had any special features or functionality that you wanted to make sure that we covered during the webinar. Thank you for those. And I forwarded all that information over to Alex, so we'll touch on all that as we move forward. So at this moment, I'm going to introduce Alex and let him take you through Facility Grid. And thank you very much again for attending.
Greg, thank you for the introduction, and good afternoon to everyone. So my name is Alex Kozinets. So Greg touched upon the benefits of a commissioning software, what you should be looking at the commissioning at the functionality within the commissioning software. And what I want to talk about today is what's important in the commissioning software and how does Facility Grid delivers it to various members of the commissioning process. So the most important qualities within a commissioning software, whether you're switching from a manual process or maybe looking at various commissioning software products, the most important functionalities are being able to improve efficiency, bring transparency to the project participants, streamline deliverables. And when you switching, when you start using a software, what you want is you want the software to enable you to perform whatever activities you need to perform, but you also don't want the software to impose any additional requirements on you. And how does Facility Grid do that? Most importantly, we have a specific task-based process that allows our software to be tailored to the scope and type of your projects. And that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to also go through the various functionalities within the software and how they benefit specific participants on a typical commissioning project. So we're going to start with looking at commissioning providers, CXPs. So again, as I mentioned, we are task-based software. What that means is that whether you're performing new building commissioning, whether you're performing existing building commissioning process or project and Facility Grid, you can tailor our tasks to a specific process. So what are you seeing on my screen right now is the outline of a new building commissioning project. So this project is set up to kind of resemble lead enhanced process. And so you can see where the tasks are broken by phases that are applicable to a typical new building commissioning project. And we have design, construction, and occupancy tasks. Now, if you think of these tasks, what do they represent? So tasks in Facility Grid represent two functionalities. The first one, each task is a part of your scope of work, right? So if you are performing new building commissioning activities and your scope of work includes, for example, during construction phase of the project, to review equipment submittals or witness factory testing, you're going to specify that. You're going to create those tasks specific to that scope of work. Now, in addition to being, kind of outline of the scope of work, tasks also represent sections in any report. So when at the end of the project, you want to put together a report, whether it's a final commission report or systems manual, or when you during the project, you want to create a custom report, all you need to do, you can just link any task to a specific section within that report. And when you do that, that report can be ready within minutes. Let me also show you how tasks look on the existing building commissioning project. So as I mentioned, Facility Grid can be configured for new building commissioning and existing building commissioning. I'm going to show you an example of an existing building commissioning project. And as you're probably familiar, the typical existing building commissioning project consists of 5 phases, right? So that's planning, investigation, implementation, turnover, and persistence. And again, this is a typical setup, but you may be working on a project which does not include a persistence phase of the project, or maybe doesn't include the planning phase of the project. Again, you can tailor the task specific to your needs. And that means that you don't need to select which project I can do in Facility Grid, in which project I have to do outside, right? So whether you're performing simple punch list type of project, right, where you require to go to the site and maybe review some activities, maybe review installation of something. So again, you can configure Facility Grid that would be specifically, based on those particular tasks. Now, let's look at how Facility Grid improves efficiency. So there are various levels of improved efficiency. And so when we're looking at how that applies to commissioning providers, the first one is how does Facility Grid handles equipment. So to populate equipment in Facility Grid, there are multiple ways of doing it. So if with the highest efficiency, you would want to import BIM files. So basically, we are a BIM compatible software. We can consume COBIT data. So if you do have a COBIT data file, you can import it directly into Facility Grid. Now, if you don't have that, we also provide you with capabilities to import Excel spreadsheet with equipment data. So when you start working on the project, you don't have to manually go into Facility Grid and create each piece of equipment. You can streamline that process by consuming the data. In addition, when you're working on functional tests or checklists, as you know, sometimes there is a, especially when you test maybe some terminal type of equipment like VEV bucks or Fenco units, there is always a possibility for you to conduct tests of multiple pieces of equipment at the same time, right? You can always, have one person, let's say, sitting at the front end, looking at the graphics, and then another person being on the side in the field and verifying that, things are responding properly, devices are responding properly based on the commands from the building automation system. So if you think of having, this type of situation and you commissioning VEV boxes, you can send a signal to multiple devices, and you can have those tests for those devices on the same screen and respond to multiple test plans at the same time. So for example, if I go into functional tests, and let's say I want to look at some VEV boxes, let's select this VEV 101. So if I select complete multiple pieces of equipment on the same screen, just select several, and now they all appear on the same screen, and I'll be able to respond to individual questions, or I can just click on the all button, and the questions will be applied to all the pieces of equipment. Now, if you need to change an answer for a particular piece of equipment, you can do it individually. If you need to create an issue for a particular piece of equipment, you can do that by just clicking on this triangle icon. Or you can also click on this notes icon and you create a note for a specific piece of equipment. Now, this functionality is available for commissioning providers by default. Now, the same functionality is available for checklists. So on your project, the commissioning provider has to activate the functionality for checklists, and that functionality will be available to the contractors. So they'll be able to complete multiple checklists at the same time. Now, in addition to that, when you manage the issues log or manage deficiencies on your project, there's sometimes a situation where you document issues and they are similar to several pieces of equipment. Let's say you're looking at VEV boxes and several of them have issue with access, for example, right? So you can respond, and let's say the issues have been responded to, and what you need to do is simply just change the status. You already reviewed them and you want to change the status from maybe work completed to closed. So what you can do in Facility Grid is just simply let's say type access and find all the issues that related to access. You can also select what type of equipment that you're looking at, and then you can select multiple and then just click on the multi-edit, and on this screen, you can change the status. You can close them all. If you need to rename the issue, you can do that as well. And if you, for example, that issue was addressed originally to mechanical contractor, for example, however, you've been told that it's actually not a mechanical issue, it's electrical issue, because maybe there's some conduits in front of those boxes. You can do multi-edit and change responsibility from one provider to another. Another functionality that Facility Grid provides to improve efficiency is to allow you to change issues to observations or change observations to issues. So basically, what happens sometimes on a job site, you see something, you think it's an issue or an observation, you record it as such, but then when you go back to your office and you reread your observation, and then you realize that actually it's not an issue, it's an observation, or it's not an observation, it's an issue. So Facility Grid allows you to simply click on this change to an issue button, and that will automatically convert that observation to an issue by adding this responsibility. For your information, it works both ways. So if you create an issue and want to convert this to an observation, you can do it by just clicking on this change to observation button. Now, in addition to being able to access everything on the cloud version of the software, it is very important to be able to access to all the information, to all the documents, all the materials when you're on a job site. So Facility Grid does it by delivering a mobile app that is compatible with any major mobile platform. So regardless of whether you're using iOS device, whether you're using Microsoft-based device, or whether you're using an Android device, all you need to do is just go to the App Store for your device and download the app, and that app will function exactly the same on every platform. Now, what this also means that not only that you can extend the use of the software, the full utilization of the software to any project participants, whether it's a CXP or it's building owner or it's a contractor, because you can dictate what type of devices they use. But it also means that you can convert your laptop to a mobile device. So for example, when you're conducting functional testing or maybe integrated system testing, and you want to use your laptop because maybe it's easier for you to kind of manage the test script. However, if you know that there is no internet on site, there's no Wi-Fi, you can install a mobile app on your device and you can use your device during the testing. Okay, obviously, if you do have Wi-Fi on a job site, you can just use the cloud version of Facility Grid on your device. Now, when you're on your device, so when you're on a job site, what's important? There's a couple of things important. First of all, being able to record an issue, an observation, or take a picture very easily, right? Sometimes you may be standing on a ladder and you need to very quickly or safely record an issue. So to do this, you can simply click on this big orange circle and just click on the create an issue icon, and you can document that issue, snap a picture, and you can assign an issue to a particular participant, or you can link it to an asset. But what's also important is to be able to access any type of information related to your process, whatever the process you're involved in on a job site, right? So, and to get there, you can simply type a piece of equipment in the search icon. And now on your screen, you'll see all the information related to that particular piece of equipment. So if you want to know all the issues that are related to this piece of equipment, here you go. Any observations or checklists or pre-verification tests, functional tests, all that information is available. If you need to get to all the information related to equipment, the serial number or model number, whatever, all that information is available for you. Systems, documents, so that can be accessed on one screen. Now, in addition to that, Facility Grid enables you to access any documents, any PDF documents that you have on your project. Like I said, because it's a full app, all the documents that you have on your project, you can have them on the job site. And in addition to accessing them in Facility Grid on the mobile app, we allow you to open these documents in any PDF markup, third-party PDF markup tool installed on your app, and then we integrate with that app. And what we do is, once you're done marking up your documents in a third-party PDF markup app, like for example Bluebeam, we automatically read all your comments, all your edits. Even if you attach the picture to that PDF, we'll grab that picture, and then we will process the information that you have documented, and we will automatically convert those edits or those markups into issues or into observations. Now, being able to manage the entire project in one location, right? Whether it's, like I said, new building commissioning, existing building commissioning, regardless of what type of scope you have, is very important. But what's also important is being able to communicate that information to your to the entire project team. And therefore, Facility Grid provides you with very robust charts, right? So basically, we have charts that give you all the information that you may want to know about, what's happening with issues on your project. We display this information with differently by by displaying it based on the phase of the project, based on the status of the issues. We show you the relationship between open and closed issues. We show you the discipline with most issues. So basically, anytime, at any point of time, because this is a live data, any project participants can log in into Facility Grid and know exactly what's happening with issues, and also understand whether your project is on the right track, right? So if you're going towards the end of the project and you can see this red and green curve reversed, and now you have more closed issues than open, well, that's a good sign, okay? Similar charts are available for tests, for checklists, FPTs, integrated system tests. And so again, basically that information is displayed to you. It's live, all the data is live, so that you can see where I can look into this data, and that data will tell me exactly what's happening on the project. Now, as you saw, when you log into Facility Grid and you get to the dashboard, and that dashboard shows you these charts, you can configure the dashboard based on a particular project, based on the status of the project, to show you specific charts. And that can be configured by any project participant. So whether you are the CXP, whether you are the owner representative, whether you're a contractor, you can configure this dashboard to show you the information that you're specifically looking for. Now, in addition to showing you the status of the issues and tests, because we're a task-based process, we track every single activity. Okay, so whether you're involved in reviewing owner project requirements, okay, if that's part of your task, that's part of your scope, we will track that activity for you. So if you need to perform one review, if you specify that when you set up your tasks, we will track and we'll document and we'll tell you when you're 100% complete. When you're creating tests, for example, not when you're completing tests, but when you're creating test forms, we will report on that information as well. We will tell you that in this case, for example, on the checklist generation, you generated 287 out of 335 checklists, meaning that you 86% done. So why is this information important? Because the contractor no longer needs to keep bothering you and asking you, well, how many checklists total are you going to have on the project? Where are you with checklist generation? Those checklists that you've generated, 287, are these a half of all the checklists? Are they 100%? But going into this page, they can simply see that, okay, well, we know that you're 86% done. Okay. And the last but not the least important feature is to be able to now report on the activities that commissioning provider is performing. So, and to do that, as I mentioned to you before, Facility Grid uses a functionality to link any task to a associated section in a report. So if I go to the reporting section, we give you an ability to develop different types of reports. So you can develop a final commissioning report, and to do that, you simply click on the icon to create a final commissioning report. Now this report is outlined for you, or the sections are outlined based on the guideline 0 sections of a typical commissioning report, also based on lead requirements. And so you can use this as your template. Now, if you'd like, so we have clients that want to kind of customize the outline of the report, we can do that as well. But basically, when you start with this template, now you can play with the template as you see fit. You can remove sections that you don't need. You can add custom sections. You can even add charts to your report. And so now you can see where you'll build the report specific to whatever the project requires. And all you need to do at this point is just link the tasks to these sections. So if your task is, for example, to review the owner project requirements document, so all you need to do is just link the task to this section of the report. Now, not only that you can do a final commissioning report, which typically, at least from my experience, could take between 24 or 48 hours, maybe longer. The most important is to be able to streamline generation of systems manual. And the reason is because systems manual can take a very long time to create. So again, from my personal experience, this could take, depending on the size of the project, it could take a week, maybe 2 weeks to develop. Now, Facility Grid does it with, similarly how we build final commissioning report. So we start with a template, and the template for systems manual is based on ASHRAE guideline 1.4. And again, some of our clients have standardized the outline based on their specific requirements, and we can do that for you as well. But when you start with any template, you can again make this template as custom as you need, specific to your project needs. So by doing, just moving sections around, by deleting sections, or by adding additional section, and again adding charts. Right? Again, once you created the specific outline of your report, so what you can do now is simply link tasks to sections in the report, and Facility Grid does the rest of their work by itself. Facility Grid will combine all the tasks together. It will link any issues, any documents, associated documents. So for example, if you review design documents and if you want to provide for reference the document that you reviewed, that will be linked as well. Facility Grid then will create a table of content, will create all the internal links between issues and tests, for example. And in the case with systems manual, because as you can imagine, systems manual can be tens of thousands of pages, we will actually break the document into several sections and provide you one zip file. Now, lastly, not only that you can create these final reports, but throughout the project, you may be required to create weekly reports or maybe monthly reports. And Facility Grid gives you the ability to create any type of report on the fly. So for example, if you want to create a weekly issue status report, simply you just need a cover page, then throw an issues log in there, throw charts in there, and click on generate report. Okay, that really easy to be able to build something like this. And again, for the commissioning provider, this is a functionality that can save a tons of time. Now, we talked about the commissioning provider. Let's look at how could an owner benefit from using Facility Grid or having Facility Grid on their projects. Well, first of all, sometimes the owners use their own commissioning team, or maybe a mixture of their own commissioning team and third-party companies, outside companies. And so when building owners standardize on the commissioning software, that means that they can standardize on a lot of things. First of all, on test templates. So for example, checklists. If we're talking about, let's say, data center, and data center owner has, in every data center, there is a computer room air conditioning unit, or there's a generator, right? So there is a checklist for how to verify correct installation of a generator or a correct installation of a switchboard. That checklist doesn't need to be recreated on every single project. You can standardize that for a specific piece of equipment and standardize it across the entire portfolio of facilities, and then you make that checklist available for every project participant. In addition, because you may have a mixture of different types of buildings, so for example, maybe it's a university client and the building owner has different types of buildings, new buildings, existing buildings. And so when you can manage every type of commissioning project, whether it's recommissioning or whether it's an energy assessment project, or maybe it's a new building commissioning project, and you can manage any type of project in the same software, that provides you flexibility in the use. It allows everybody to use the same tool to perform their activities and have that information be available for pretty much every user. Now, what also is important for a building owner? So what's important is for the software to contribute to the sustainable life cycle of the facility. Okay, so how do we do that? So first of all, we provide a smooth turnover to the O&M team out of Facility Grid. So you can imagine that any type of report that the building owner needs, any specific systems manual, any specific sections within the systems manual, that can be standardized. So the building owner can standardize the template for a final commissioning report or for a final systems manual, and then have any commissioning provider adhere to that outline of that report. Also, equipment data collection. Well, the most important part of commissioning process, right, kind of the foundation of commissioning process, is to ensure that the equipment or systems perform, or designed, then installed, and then perform per the owner project requirements. Okay, so that means that that commissioning team looks at that equipment starting from the design and all the way into the occupancy or warranty phase of the building. It means that it gets hold of all the information related to that equipment. It means that it can document the equipment parameters, and those parameters are very useful very useful information. So if somebody gives this data with equipment information to building owner in a PDF, that's pretty much just a waste of everyone's time, because nobody's going to sit and grab the data from PDF and copy and paste it somewhere else. So what Facility Grid gives the building owner ability to get that data, at the end of commissioning process, and that data, remember, is a verified as installed information that can be then taken and populated into a BIM for a FEM model, for example, or into a client CMMS system, right? And that will obviously streamline utilization of that CMMS system right after the project is completed, instead of the building operator going back to each piece of equipment and documenting the nameplate information. Now, again, we talked about how within Facility Grid, you can standardize on the commissioning process, you can standardize on the deliverables, on any templates, and basically that standardization occurs specific to the requirements of a particular owner, right? And is specific to the type of buildings that building owner is using. Again, if it's a data center standard, and for example, you're using different commissioning levels, you could standardize every template for every commissioning level, right, based on specific application, and have those templates be available to your project team. And again, transparency. So for the building owner, especially when the project goes towards the end, and it's very important to understand, where the project is at, to understand, what are the critical issues, what are the, critical path activities. And again, being able to look at the dashboards that available in Facility Grid is very important. And now I'd like to spend a couple of minutes talking about not just the commissioning provider and the building owner, but also the rest of the team. So, and primarily the contractors. What can contractors do in Facility Grid? Okay, how can they benefit from using a software? And this is, even though I leave this for the last portion of my presentation, but being able to engage your project participants, especially contractors, is as important as being able to provide all other functionalities to the rest of the team. Because if they engaged in the software, your project will be much more successful. So how do we do this? We talked about the mobile app. We talked about that Facility Grid gives you the app that it can work on any mobile platform. So, right, so you cannot dictate that every contractor buys an Apple iPhone, or a Windows iPhone, right? So if they use different type of system, different type of platform, they can use an app for that. How do you build the software that allows easy engagement of project participants in the process? Well, first of all, being able to very easily navigate through different activities. So most of the time, the contractors will go into Facility Grid to do the checklist, respond to the checklist, and look at issues. So for issues, we provide you tons of different functionalities to be able to navigate. So first of all, there's a filters, so you can filter and to any piece of equipment or to any type of activity or type of issue, right? Or in addition to that, actually, you can use a My Filter. So what My Filter does, and you only need to click on it once. You can click on it in the beginning of the project, and it'll stay clicked for the rest of the project. But basically, what it'll do, it'll show it only the issues that are specifically addressed to the person who logged into Facility Grid. So Facility Grid understands that when a person with responsibility of a mechanical contractor logs in, then the only issues that will be displayed are those addressed specifically to that contractor. Now, in addition to that, as I mentioned to you, if activated on a project, that feature needs to be activated on the project, contractors can also use the multi-edit functionality on issues and provide a single response to multiple issues. Okay, so if there was 20 issues related to access to those VAV boxes, and the contractor actually went ahead and addressed all those issues, they can respond one by one, or they can select several and provide single response to multiple issues. Now, in addition to that, you can export an issues log in Excel format. So for example, if the project is using a third-party construction management tool and they want to get issues from the commissioning software that they can import into that tool, you could do that as well. Notifications are sent out automatically by Facility Grid, and that allows every project participant to get that information as soon as that issue has been addressed or it has been created. Now, because all the documents that exist on the project are available on the cloud and on the mobile tool, now you can use Facility Grid to communicate any type of project documents with the entire project team. So if you go to the document section, regardless of what you attach the document to, whether you attach it to a functional test or you attach it to an issue, all the documents reside in the documents folder. And you can simply, if you need to send meeting notes, for example, if you need to send a report, you can simply send your team an URL link and they'll be able to access that. Now, a couple more things. So pre-verification tests. If you guys heard my presentations before, you know I spent some time, sufficient amount of time talking about pre-verification tests. Facility Grid allows you to engage your contractor in pre-testing equipment. So when a commissioning provider creates a functional test in Facility Grid, we create a copy, identical copy of the test as a pre-verification test. And the pre-verification test has different permissions than a functional test, which means that a contractor can access a pre-verification test and pre-test equipment and make sure it's ready for when the engineer or commissioning team shows up. And what happens is the responses that the contractor provides as part of pre-verification testing are embedded into the functional testing. Okay, so you can see right here, I'm looking at the FPT, and you can see how this FPT has the answers from the contractor embedded directly into the test form. So I can see, so for this particular question, the answer the contractor provided was that this particular sequence operation is not correct. So they pre-tested it, that sequence doesn't work. And what does that mean? That means that this just one answer could have saved you a trip, right? And which means wasted time. So if you see this response before going to the job site, and if you can address this, before getting ready for the test, okay, this will obviously save everyone's time, eliminate any unnecessary aggravation. And the reason, your test script may not match what's installed on the site, there are plenty, right? So that could be something to do with your script, something in the fact that the sequence operation may have changed since you created the script, or the other activities or actions may lead to something like this, right? Again, ability to pre-test equipment will help you. It will also help the contractor, because nobody wants to have a failed test reported. And when somebody pre-tests it and reports it, this does not appear as a failed test. It just appears as a test that needs to be reviewed before actually conducting it. And the last item that is applicable to the entire project team is going back to those charts. If you noticed, not only that we provide you charts on the status of activities, but most importantly, we also provide you with the charts on the progress of activities. Progress is also important because you don't want to just report on the state of your test, for example. Okay, so how many checklists do you have? Well, we have a total of 335 checklists. Okay, so how many incomplete checklists? 38. Okay, so if you're reporting the same information week after week, even though the contractors went into those checklists and actually responded to some of the questions, but you keep reporting that the actual total numbers haven't changed, this is not the right message you want to send to your team, right? So if somebody actually is performing activities, actually going to checklist and responding to questions, we will report on that status. We will report on what happened over the past month. We will report on what happened over the past week. And obviously the same functionality exists for functional tests. Again, you may not be 100% complete, but if there are items to report on, if there's progress to report on, why not show it? Okay. And basically, hopefully, from what I demonstrated to you, you can see, going back to where I started, what Facility Grid can do for you in terms of how it can improve efficiency, how it can bring transparency to the project, how it can streamline the deliverable, and also, which is very important, is how you can use Facility Grid on any type of project with any type of scope, and how you can tailor Facility Grid to the project, as opposed to tailoring your process to how that process is done in Facility Grid. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand that when we look at this functionality, we take it very seriously, because, like I said in the beginning, we want the software, we want Facility Grid to enable you to do something instead of put any additional requirements on you. Well, this completes the presentation section of the webinar, and now I'm going to switch to Eric to ask me any questions that may have.
Alex, hi. Thank you very much for that presentation. There are a couple of questions that are coming in, mostly revolving around your Bluebeam statement. Can you just describe that again? There were some clarifications, I think, that you could help out with.
Of course. So basically, what we understand, the typical commissioning process, you may go to the job site and you may be holding floor plans, and as you walk through the building, you may be documenting some items that you see on the on those floor plans. And so typically you would, let's say, use your iPad, or maybe you're doing it on the another platform, and basically you would be opening the documents, that floor plan, in the PDF reading app that's installed on your device. And again, as you walk, doing your markups. The problem is that once you're done with your markups, now you want those markups to become part of your issues log or part of your site observation report. Well, to do this, you would have to export your markups out of your third-party PDF app into an Excel, for example, and then copy and paste those markups manually into an issues log. Okay, so what Facility Grid does, Facility Grid realized that we don't want you to enter any information twice. There's really no need for that. So we integrated with the PDF markup apps, and that we allow you, once the markups are done in that app, And again, that can be any type of app, and I use Bluebeam as an example, where we read your markups, we grab any pictures that you may have attached to your PDF, and then we automatically convert them to issues or observations. We'll ask you whether this comment is an issue or it's an observation, and we'll automatically convert it and add it to the issues log. Not only that, we will also add a link to that issue on the PDF, so that next time you open the PDF after you synchronize your app, you'll see the link to that issue, so you can navigate between your PDF document and the issues log. And also, which I didn't mention, an added benefit is that, you know, when you have multiple team members working on the same project, and everybody carries their own mobile device, and you have your own version of a floor plan, for example, on your device, when you mark up that floor plan on your device, your team members do not see those markups. Okay, and what Facility Grid does is, once you synchronize your device, so you can have several team members, they're marking up their devices, PDFs on their devices. Once they're done, they save their PDFs, they synchronize their devices with the cloud. Facility Grid will combine all markups from all project participants into one document. And the next time you synchronize your device, every team member will see the comments made by the rest of the team.
Okay, Alex, thank you. I want to hand it over to Greg to wrap up. Greg?
Great. Alex, thanks very much for a terrific presentation. And Eric, thank you also. And hopefully you've seen how Facility Grid provides an ROI for all of your stakeholders, including providing transparency into your projects, how we increase efficiency and productivity, and streamlining your deliverables and engaging the entire commissioning team. If you'd like to learn more about us, you can go to our site and you could go to our training webinars. We have many training webinars out there that'll give you an idea of how the product works, and also how we train folks out there. And that's very important to us, how all of the stakeholders, including the contractors, get some good training and everybody is efficient out there in the field. So also, if you'd like to learn more and dig deeper into a deeper dive with us, you can contact me, Greg, at facilitygrid.com at that phone number. I reached out to a number of you yesterday. I'll be reaching out to everyone after this presentation also, so feel free to shoot an email and how we can help you with the next piece of this. So thank you so much. Thank you again, Alex and Eric, and we look forward to seeing you all, and good luck out there. Bye now.